talk to me a little bit about POTS syndrome.
So POTS syndrome is posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Yes, if I had $1 for every time someone said, oh, does that deal with weed? I'd be a billionaire already, and I wouldn't have had to do the supplements.
Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't? Well, then this episode's over right now.
Crap. Someone's like, you have a weed condition? And I'm like, really?
Sounds like a great Friday.
So basically with POTS, when a normal person stands up, their heart rate goes up, their blood pressure drops, their body goes, they're standing. They're fine. Ours don't communicate. Okay. So ours is an attack on the sympathetic nervous system. It's an autonomic condition. The funny thing is it affects the nervous system. It affects the heart system, but it's not considered a heart or a nervous system condition yet.
Interesting.
There's an argument on it, but medically it's still considered an autonomic condition that affects the heart and the nervous system.
Okay.
God have it, had to be the most unique one. And I joke, I was really lucky when I was first diagnosed because I was in Nashville, right? What's crazy is Nashville actually has the first ever autonomic clinic. I think it was 1978 they opened.
Okay.
But the funny thing is in 2020, I went to the emergency room and 2 people didn't know what POTS was. But I was also very lucky to be brought into that and as one of the first. And so Dr. Muldowney has been my God save since 2016.
Okay.
He's the director of the clinic. The thing is when I was diagnosed, it was less than 200,000 cases. Now it's close to 3 to 6 million. Craziest thing is, as much as we all look back on COVID and like, what the heck? How did we survive this? It's the best thing that's ever happened for POTS because we've gotten more research, we've gotten more money, and now people actually know what it is.
Okay.
Like I think I told you I was at the hair salon the other day and I listened to someone talk and they're like, oh, my friend. I was like, you have POTS? And she's like, no, my friend does. And I was like, before, no one knew what it was. But the thing is it attacks your entire autonomic system. So you're breathing, you're sleeping, you're eating, your digestion, you're standing, you're sitting, your blood pressure, your blood flow, your heart rate. So I have a resting heart rate of 109. I know most people that know me, they're like, you're really KK? That's not shocking. But I also joke, I've been a study at multiple hospitals because so when I was first in there in 2016, I remember going, they're like, they kept just sending in all these people because, Vanderbilt's a teaching hospital. And I always want to be part of that because I want to give back to the medical community. But at one point it got too much. Where every time I go to a doctor's appointment, there'd be 17 different people that walk into the room in an hour. And I finally looked at everyone. I was like, okay, guys, we're gonna do this like a business. Y'all are gonna share notes. I'm just gonna do one person. I'm not doing this. And that was the crazy thing is they were shocked at how I was functioning. And I looked at one of them one day and Dr. Muldowney, and this is when he jokes that he's like, I liked you at that point. I said, instead of figuring out why I'm functioning, let's figure out why I'm not functioning and help other people. And I looked at all of them. I go, yes, that was a double negative. I know my English, but that's the truth, right? I feel like so much in the medical world, people are shocked by people that are fine that shouldn't be. But instead, I feel like you should use that. And so that's kind of what I did because when I was first diagnosed, I actually got depressed for the first time in my life. I went from being this outgoing person 24/7 to someone who couldn't get out of bed. And Nick, I didn't know what was going on with my body. I would stand up and I'd go right down. And so in true KK fashion, I named it fainting goat syndrome because that was a way to explain a condition that no one knew about.
Sure.
Instantly.
Yeah.
But I also joke.
That's the story behind the logo too, right?
Yes.
If you're watching with us.
It's our spokesperson, Ashley.
Yeah. And what's the mascot's name?
So her name is Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Syl is my grandmother.
The falling goat with the badass sunglasses.
My grandmother was, God rest her soul. She died a few years ago. She was my heart. We'd have Sunday talks and we'd gossip about everything. And she was a rock. I knew she didn't ever say anything. She was all that. So when I was first diagnosed, that's a problem. A lot of POTS patients, when they're diagnosed, they're told they have anxiety. They're told they have depression. They told this. I studied psychology. I remember when I first diagnosed and they're like, it's just anxiety. And
so it's the last diagnosis you get, really.
That's why it was so hard to diagnose. But now people are actually looking at the symptoms. Because here's the thing. It's not a typical heart condition. It's not a typical nervous system condition. It's not typical anything.
Yeah.
So they just think it's anxiety. And so for years, I was told it was anxiety. And I would take all the anxiety medicine. Didn't do anything. They just give you more. And I'll never forget one day I was like, someone's like, you're just so calm. I was like, I'm not calm. I don't have feelings towards anything because this isn't working. And that's when I decided I'm going to change that. And so I went to over 12 holistic doctors and I worked with my medical team. And that was the most amazing thing is in a world where we judge, I hate the whole chiropractor or medical where they're like, this person's this, or they're not that great, or they don't know what they're doing. For the first time with this condition is my medical team in the medical world agrees that there is a combination between, honestly, the medical prescription world, because you have a resting heart rate of 109, you got to slow that down.
Yeah.
Blood pressure drops, you got to boost it or bring it down, right? But they've also realized the combination with the holistic supplement world. So the average POTS patient needs 6,000 to 12,000 milligrams of sodium a day.
Okay. You
tell anyone that and they're like, oh, you're going to have a heart attack. You're high blood pressure. It's not. Our body processes sodium differently. It helps hold the hydration in our arteries, which stops the blood pooling, which stops the high heart rates, the passing out, that. But I think the biggest thing is the medical field that's not used to POTS is scared to prescribe that, because telling someone to take that much sodium, you're like, are you crazy?
It's got to be the right sodium too.
And that's why, like, I wanted, we started this almost 3 years ago. And I'm not going to lie, you start a new business and you're like, oh, we're going to get this out in 6 months. And then I joke, when we finally launched it, a lot of my friends were like, wait, I thought you were still doing this?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I stopped talking about it because I was but like, that's the thing, is I'm glad we did, because I have some of the top medical team. I have some of the top pharmacists and pharmacologist, chemist, Bert, one of our formulist, amazing. The dude has like 150 patents. He's honestly like, so I joke, the first call we had with the formulist, the chemist, everyone, right? My dad's always told me, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Nick, I'm not going to lie, I felt like the dumbest. I was right. I was literally taking notes on words they were saying so I could research what they were talking about because they were so clinical.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dad, I think I'm in the right room.
That's right.
And so, emotionally, I developed this because I don't want anyone to ever feel like I felt. Like Courtney, who I was so mad at, Court. When I first diagnosed and was going through all that stuff, she was my right hand. When I would go out, she would kind of protect me when people were like, what's wrong with her? Why is she not this? Or whatever. But she looked at me and goes, when you want to feel better, you will. And I was so mad at her at that point. I was like, why are you saying that? I don't know what's going on. Like, what are you talking about? She was right. And I think that's the biggest problem with conditions and syndromes is it's a lifestyle change. And when I realized the majority of people women, actually, POTS is way more women. I would like 70 to 80% women, which is funny because Roman, he was diagnosed with POTS. But the irony is they released something saying he's in treatment. There's no treatment.
Okay.
So then all of a sudden I'm getting these messages, why aren't you in treatment? Why aren't you doing this? You guys, it's not treatment, it's managing symptoms.
Got it.
Right? But that's the thing. You've got a bunch of teenage girls who are eating all this stuff that they shouldn't. But you can't tell a teenage person they have to change their entire lifestyle to feel better. They're being told they're lazy, they're tired because they physically can't stand up. Like, that's the most heartbreaking thing for me with this. I wanted to develop something that made people feel better because I didn't want anyone to feel the way I felt. And when your body is literally controlling you, you can't even explain it. Like, I loved that Celine Dion came out about her stiff muscle syndrome because she actually gave acknowledgement to conditions that are invisible. And I think that's the biggest problem right now in society. If you don't have a broken leg or a missing eye, people don't have sympathy towards you. I think we're lacking sympathy in general for people.
Okay.
And when you have an invisible illness and you're outgoing and you're person, they're like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You went out yesterday. You're fine. No, I am fine because I make myself fine. And if I don't, you don't see me.
Sure.
But I think that's the hardest thing with invisible illnesses. And there's so many of those out there that people don't think people are sick. And I will say, like, it's kind of crazy with all this research and everything coming out. I don't ever want anyone to be, but it's like finally people are acknowledging how hard it is for people with this condition.
Sure. So, all right. So first of all, you can get it on your website at which is POTSies.com.
.co.
Sorry,
Yep.
POTSies.co. Same thing on Instagram. It's at POTSies.co as well.
Yep.
So a lot like, again, a lot of great stuff going on. They can get it on Amazon. So it's over the counter.
Yeah.
It's an over the counter solution.
It's the proper amount of magnesium and sodium us POTS patients need a day.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing that I've seen is this is the first supplement of its type. There's never been an actual supplement developed just for POTS patients, right? There's a lot of companies that are pushing their current products towards us, which is a lot of electrolyte drinks, you name it. But the other problem too that people don't understand is with the electrolyte drinks, if there's sugars or artificial sugars, it doesn't help us either, because your body takes more energy to process that. So it causes all the blood to go to your stomach, which causes the blood pooling, which causes the heart rate to go up. So it's like, it's all over the place. Like, and the other thing too is like these conditions like spew other things, right? Because your autonomic system's under attack. But I wanted to develop something that gave some people hope, because I'm not going to lie, when you go from being this most outgoing person a day and then you suddenly can't even stand up and walk 5 feet to your kitchen. I have a condo. You're like, what the heck is wrong with me? Like, my body's failing me.
Is POTS syndrome is it something you're born with? Is it something that's kind of like it shows its face later? Have you had it your whole life and that's when it showed up? Or is it something that you can like, as you're in life, things change and you become diagnosed with it?
So there's still a lot. So like I said, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to us, because we got a lot of people were getting POTS after COVID, because the way COVID attacks your sympathetic nervous system as a virus, it can cause it. Okay. It's an attack. So the most research they found out so far lately is it's an attack on the sympathetic nervous system. So severe illness or severe sickness or severe illness, sickness, or severe injury. So like I was 2 and I had pneumonia. I could have technically had it then and it lay dormant. Now, a lot of people have it coming on. Mine hit suddenly in 2016. So that's actually even more unique. And the other thing that's crazy is there's also hyperanadrenic POTS, is what I have. So it's a more rare version. So basically, my body throws adrenaline to try to calm it down. But you're going to have to scroll me back, because
it's not like a virus or a strain.
But the way COVID did it, the way it was developed, which it's not a conspiracy at this point, we know it attacks the sympathetic nervous system. A lot of severe viruses do. And so right now, those are the two main, is a severe sickness or a severe injury. Yeah. Now there's a genetic tie, but they don't know it. Like I joke, I went to go see a neurologist, and the new one, and he comes in and he's like, because my dad has Parkinson's, but we were able to diagnose it earlier. I actually talked to him on the way here. He's 78, and I came to the neurologist just a few weeks ago, and he walks in, he goes, "So are you here because you have headaches?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Are you here because you're afraid you're going to get Parkinson's?" I was like, "It doesn't work like that." And I looked right at him. But that's what's crazy is with my dad having Parkinson's, we've now realized the correlation between both, because POTS is an attack on the sympathetic nervous system. Parkinson's is a complete shutdown. And so what's crazy is technically my dad, if he didn't ever have heart issues, he's 78. So most people with Parkinson's have heart issues. They can't take our supplement. But technically, they have the same symptoms as POTS patients, but a majority of them are older, which means they have other underlying conditions, which means they can't have that much sodium. But that was another weird correlation that kind of happened between the family. And I was like, and then now it's all coming out, which is crazy. So, I mean, that's what sucks. It's like we had to go through 2020, but it's been the best thing for this condition. Like, more people know about it.
How does one become diagnosed with POTS? How would they know that they have it?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I don't think I can even answer that. So it's all over the place. And that's what's crazy. Every POTS patient is different. A lot of them have the high heart rate, low blood pressure. Then some have higher blood pressure and higher heart rate. So it's really all over the place, and that's the problem. The biggest thing when I was diagnosed, it took an average of 7 years.
Okay.
Now I think they're down to 3. But a lot of people get pushed away because it comes across as anxiety. You know, you don't have cholesterol. You don't have any of those typical heart issues. You don't have typical neuropathy or nervous system things. And so I think that's the hard part. But what's crazy too is, like, starting out, there was only 3 autonomic clinics in the nation. Now there's multiple clinics, multiple places they're helping people. What was crazy though was when I was diagnosed, there was only 3, I think, in Cleveland Clinic, but Cleveland Clinic only treats a couple things. But what's insane right now is Vanderbilt is getting around 125 referrals from outside doctors a day for POTS patients.
Okay.
A day. So like, I think my doctor right now has like a year wait.
How is it safe to say that, like, maybe like you think about the great United States of America and the small markets? Yeah. Is it fair to say that maybe like a lot of the medical providers or doctors in those smaller markets might not have been exposed to POTS syndrome yet, or know what there's still doctors out there that don't know what it is, probably, yeah?
I mean, 2020, which I think I told you the story before. 2020, it was March, which was when everything hit the fan. And I wasn't feeling good. Like I couldn't breathe. I was like wheezing and I'm like, oh, great. So I go to the Vanderbilt Minute Clinic in Brentwood, I think it was, because I just didn't want to go to the hospital because of everything that was going on. And I come in and I was laughing. The emergency room doctor comes in and she has a mask on and she's talking to me 30 minutes, explaining, ask my symptoms, you name it. And then she comes back in 10 minutes later in a full hazmat suit. I was like, are we doing this? Like now we wonder why everyone was freaked out during 2020. It was that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You just talked to me for 30 minutes and you came back in a full, and she's like, it's code. I was like, you should have put that on before if you guys think I have it, right? I felt like we were in that movie. What was the Outbreak? But they wouldn't let me leave because my heart rate was so high. And I was like, I have POTS syndrome. And the doctor actually looked at me and goes, what's POTS syndrome in 2020? So I'm so glad for people that are getting diagnosed now that we have so much more research and even help with diagnosis around them. But what sucks is there's a lot of people in rural areas or even just smaller markets like we're talking about that don't have access to this, that they're going to the regular cardiologist or PC and there's just not enough information. I also feel like people are hard on doctors lately. They think a doctor at the emergency room should know every minor condition, every major condition, everything. And emergency room doctors are trained to keep you alive and then send you to the specialist. And I think that's just the problem with human nature right now. We expect so much from so many people that sometimes you have to like check yourself, because the truth is like emergency room doctors shouldn't know everything about POTS syndrome. They should know everything about everything. Their whole thing is to focus on what they know. And I think that's the thing that we need to give the medical community is grace, because they've got a lot going on right now, especially after 2020.
So when would somebody that has these symptoms, before they go to the doctor, would they see if this, would they try the product to see if it subsides, or would they go to the doctor first? Is this something the doctor recommends?
This is something that they have to take once there. So if you don't have POTS and your body doesn't handle sodium the way it does, or those conditions, you shouldn't take this, because it is a lot of sodium for people that don't have POTS. But the way a POTS person's body works, so no, I wouldn't recommend taking it. I always ask that they have a diagnosis first.
Got it.
Yeah.
So but there is probably a lot of markets that maybe this information hasn't made it into yet. Kind of like the last to know.
I mean, it's insane. Like it's crazy. My dad actually had to go to the autonomic clinic at Cleveland for Parkinson's, and apparently up there they only treat sinus tachycardia, POTS, and SVT. That's the thing. Vanderbilt has the autonomic on the POTS and all the different conditions, but I mean, I think the first thing to do is go to your doctor, but I always say get a referral if you think that. But I also think a lot of people are self-diagnosing.
Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe for more, and visit nickhyder.com.